I'm not afraid to fly. I'm afraid to crash. It makes me feel very trapped and weak because I love to travel. I get off the plane and it's like, whew, I just survived 1,000 plane crashes.
So, sweetheart, let's say that you've booked the flight, you're boarding a plane, and you sit down, and what was it? You're afraid.
I'm afraid the plane is going to crash.
So the plane is going to crash. You're sitting in your seat, you're buckled in. Can you absolutely know that it's true, the plane is going to crash?
No. No.
And what happens as you sit in your seat, on the ground, engines roaring? How do you react when you think the thought, this plane is going to crash?
I become very physically anxious. I feel, even before I get on the plane, after I book the ticket, I feel the like my heart starts to race, just a sense of panic.
Yeah, and you experience that emotional thing you've described because there are images. You think the thought, the plane is going to crash, and then images happen. Images of a future, images of a past. You have to have images of a past to prove that planes crash. Is that imagination or reality? Those images, is it a plane crashing?
No, they're images.
Okay, so you witness that. You have images of a future, and you get to see it, you all over the sky, and then you feel the emotions. You're watching a movie.
Yeah.
It's like if you go into a theater and it's a really exciting movie, you feel those emotions, and that's what's going on.
And it occurs so subtly where I will be fine for 20 minutes. Either a thought will pop up telling me to panic because, that you get to control the situation that way or whatever. And then, or some bad turbulence will hit. And I don't think I experience a movie. I think it's just that quick.
So get still.
So get still.
Yeah, get still and notice. This is the third question. How do you react when you believe that thought? And the images come, and that is attachment. We don't attach to things. We attach to what we're believing. That's what makes world. Imagination. Okay, so you're imagining you're in that seat. How do you react? Anything else?
Yeah, my strategies kick in to mellow out the situation. I will look for the calmest person on the plane that I can find, and then think about, wow, that person's pretty calm. I probably should just stare at them for a little bit. And then I'll notice the flight attendants and notice how calm they are, even while they talk about what you do when the plane goes down. Still pretty calm though. So yeah, I try to, it's a total, like I'm resisting the movie as it's happening, trying to deploy anything I've ever read or learned to handle it, and that just makes it crazier.
Okay, so let's look at the fourth question. So if you close your eyes, imagine you're in the seat. Who would you be without the thought the plane is going to crash? And I'm not asking you to drop the thought, and I'm not telling you that it's not going to crash. I'm simply asking, who would you be without the thought the plane is going to crash as you sit in your seat, and maybe other people around seem panicked, and some don't. But who would you be without the thought the plane's going to crash? Just relax in your seat. Seatbelt on.
I would really enjoy it, actually.
Yeah.
I would really enjoy it. And for me, it's an experience that will start weeks ahead of the plane.
Yeah.
My process is it'll go, it'll come back, it'll go, it'll come back, it'll intensify, it'll come back.
Yeah, that's how it works. That's how the mind stays identified as a you. It's I am the man who is frightened to fly. That's me. So let's turn it around. The plane is going to crash. Turn it around. What's the opposite?
The plane is not going to crash.
So give me an example of why that could be as true or truer as you sit in the seat.
For me, it's because it hasn't happened before. And I want to say that that's the only thing, because all the statistics in the world don't really help in that moment.
No.
But it's...
No.
It just hasn't been, I can't even find evidence for that, obviously, in my life, personally.
Yeah, so that's also nice to realize. Yeah, so the plane is going to crash. Turn around, the plane is not going to crash, except in your head. That's where they've always crashed. You know, they're just crashing and crashing and crashing and blowing up in midair. And other than that, you know, no proof that that plane is going to crash. So it's like you're crashing it before it crashes. So let's say the plane is in the air and the engine's gone. They hit the birds. Okay? So the plane is doing this really weird thing now. Let's say you're way up there and now it's kind of starting to dive. Okay?
Uh-huh.
Okay? So who would you be without the thought the plane is going to crash?
Okay, I'm going to really try to go there because...
Yeah. Because I'd really like you to discover who you are without the thought the plane's going to crash. You still have no proof.
Okay.
I mean, until it hits, there is no proof. And then when it hits, you don't care. There's no one there to, you know, there's just no one there to care. I mean, really.
No, yeah.
With the images.
Okay, yeah, so I see that. As the plane's going down...
Who would you be without the thought?
Because I am playing the video at that point. It still hasn't happened yet. If I did not have that thought, if I was... I would...
And there are people screaming. All over the plane. They're screaming and screaming. They're terrified. They're little kids jumping all over your lap and mothers. Okay? Who would you be without the thought the plane is going to crash? Just watch everyone without your story. Notice. It's okay.
I would be experiencing the feeling of the plane falling, and I mean, my personality seems like it would probably kind of be fun.
Yeah,
in a way.
I kind of get that from you too.
Yeah,
you
in
know?
other areas it would be fun.
Yeah,
if I knew.
but don't know. Mind is it's a fearless mind. It's a wonder. It's a balance. So kind of fun and
I probably would want to be a definite harbor for some of the other minds in the plane.
Yeah, that would be like you. I mean, all these terrified people, and you're without the thought the plane is going to crash, without the thought the plane's going down, zero problem. You're left with
just what's happening.
Yeah, with gratitude that you're not experiencing the fear that they're all experiencing, and how can I help? Gratitude and how can I help? That's a balanced mind.
You know, I really have done this work and before, and what I couldn't see before was just that it all made sense, and yet I still couldn't admit to myself that even as the plane is crashing, the movie was going on. It was jumping ahead of time, like it was projecting the future, and I assumed that at that point it's all no. In that scenario, it's totally validated. It's allowed to do that because it's dealing with what's going on, but that's not dealing with what's actually occurring.
Yeah, and let's say it's like this far from the ground.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Who would you be without the thought this plane's going to crash?
I would just be noticing still. Same place I would be.
Sweetheart,
always.
I love living that way. You know, it's all imagination. Images, concepts, the mind trying to prove that what it thinks is true, what it believes is true. Okay, so let's say it was that far and now it hit. Where's the problem?
Well, at that point there is no problem.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing is from start to finish, the only problem is what you're thinking and believing. Other than that, zero problem. Unless you can show me differently. Unless one of the mothers stepped on your foot.
Then there'd be a problem.
Only if you don't notice yet that pain is always on its way out. It's never happening. It's always leaving by the time you experience it, gone. It takes a very still mind, and there it is. Even physical pain is a projection of mind. You strike me as someone who could get a handle on these 4 questions and turn around very well. You know, there's nothing more fun than to book a ticket and fly just to see what's left. See if there's any fear left.
The ticket's
Great.
booked.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah. So.
Wonderful. Okay, so you're afraid to fly. Mm-hmm. Is that true?
Yes.
So people say you create your own reality. This is how you do it. Mm-hmm. I'm afraid to fly. That's true. That's it. I've got my plan for the future.
Okay.
You hear it? I've got my plan for the future. I've just planned it.
I'm not afraid to fly. I'm afraid to crash.
You have to fly to crash.
True. Mm-hmm.
And I hear from you, you're not afraid of the crash because you told me there's no problem.
Okay.
That's right out of you.
Right. I can see that.
So you're afraid to fly. Can you absolutely know that it's true you're afraid to fly?
I guess, no. I guess I don't know necessarily what I'm afraid of.
That's amazing. And how do you react when you think the thought, I'm afraid to fly?
I feel pretty ridiculous. You
start planning it and seeing it.
Yeah. If I think about the flying, I see it. I see the flying. I think about, I'm going to be in this state of mind. But then I also feel it makes me feel very trapped and weak because I love to travel and meet people. And
so who would you be without the thought, I'm afraid to fly? I'm afraid to fly, I'm afraid to crash, which is no longer true. Who would you be without the thought, I'm afraid to, for you, fly and crash? Who would you be from now to the time you boarded the plane without the thought, I'm afraid to fly?
It just feels like everything would be kind of a big, adventure. I would be adventurous and excited and very childlike.
Yeah.
Because those things excite me.
Yeah. So I'm afraid to fly. I'm afraid to crash. Turn it around.
I'm not afraid to fly.
That could be true. You don't know. You know, this work is funny. You do the work, and then you get on the plane, and it may happen that you are waiting for the fear, and it never happens.
And I have evidence of that too.
Yeah.
You know, in my stories. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. So let's say that the plane just explodes in air and in midair, and you're flying through the air. Where's the problem? No parachute, just...
No parachute, of course not.
Who would you be without your story?
Right. Without my story, honestly, it sounds kind of fun.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. The worst that can happen is you'll have a thought out there.
Yeah, maybe I could get dizzy or something. I might get dizzy, but
people spend a lot of money to get dizzy these days. I'm only hearing good news.
That's true. Flying through the air, outside of the plane. Yeah, if there's no thought there, then I'm just kind of flipping around. That's it.
Amazing experience. When you're still, you get to see what passes you, what goes up, what goes down.
I don't feel like I think these things. I feel like these thoughts show up in my brain.
They're not a problem until you believe them, until you begin to project. You see those images of a past, they project you're not living in time, you're living out of time, and the apparent past or future, it doesn't exist. The mind, it either anticipates or remembers. It costs you the flight through air. It is what it is. And there are 2 ways to experience what is. One is in fear, and you miss it. And the other is you don't miss it. You're just wide open, and you just begin to trust what is. The universe is entirely friendly. And I invite you not to believe me, but to test it for yourself. You do this work a while, you begin to, you continue to test. Is the universe friendly? The work is like the litmus test for that. It doesn't matter what happens, it's beautiful, because your mind can only live out of that one polarity, because it understands its true nature. And anything that opposes your true nature, what is beautiful and dear, feels like stress. Yeah, so, if you're flying through the air, you deserve more than terror in the last few minutes of your life.
As I project this, in the moment on the plane, doing the work in that moment, because I experience sometimes such physical response that it's hard for me to do the work.
You're watching, you've heard life as a dream, you're watching the image, that's the dream, and you are emotionally responding to it.
Yeah.
And once you wake up to these feelings are how you react as you witness that thought. And you notice who you would be without the thought, you begin to understand the movie. Also, as you question what you believe, the movies stop because they cannot hold power up against the mature mind. And the mature mind is simply the mind that understands and loves everything, for what it is. And, the image of you flying through the air or crashing or diving, all of that, it's exciting, it's just not true as you sit in your seat with your seatbelt on. It's exciting. If someone says, "How are you?" You can say, "Don't interrupt me. I'm crashing here, and the plane may not do it, so I'm gonna." Yeah. So I would do the work for the love of peace, not to undo the fear of flying and crashing. Just do the work for the love of peace. It will bring you stillness as you're doing the work, and the noticing and the watching and the physical, your feelings, and you get in touch with them as you watch and notice and answer these questions slowly, really slowly. If you get still with it, it gets into your cells. It's like when you can no longer believe it, there's nothing you can do to believe it again. And you would have to crash before you'd believe you're going to crash. It just makes sense. On your way down, how do I know I'm not going to crash? I haven't done it yet. I don't trust my head for anything. Again, if I'm just this far from the ground, I don't want to miss the rest of my life, which is just from here to there. All of it. Let's look at the next one.
I need flying to be 100% safe.
It is. Other than your thoughts about it, it's 100% safe, whether it crashes or not. Other than your thoughts about it. Right?
Right, I see what you're saying, yeah.
Unless you can show me differently.
Right, okay. Mm-hmm.
The only thing dangerous about a flight is what you're believing. Whether it's in the air or on its way down. That's the worst that can ever happen. They jump out of airplanes and they have parachutes and they jump and they just, oh my gosh, you've seen them, they just fly. They're just having the most wonderful time,
Well, I did that thinking it would cure all of this. I've gone that far. But I see what you're saying. I think that hit something when you said it's safe even if it crashes, meaning life is that safeness. Like what's happening is what's happening. It's just if I think it shouldn't be.
Yeah, the plane starts diving. You think, oh, it shouldn't. This shouldn't be happening, and it's just not so. It is what it is.
Okay.
So, those feelings.
Yeah.
Are they terrible? Without a story, are they terrible?
No.
No. So, like feelings like that, people spend a lot of money for a Disneyland ticket to get those feelings.
There's such a judgment. I'm seeing this judgment on me that it's, in this story, I'm not strong enough to let go of this story. It's this feeling, and I see it. I'm not saying it's real. I'm just seeing that that's holding me back from letting it go. I'm not brave enough or strong enough to let this story go.
So it takes bravery and courage to let the story go? I'd say it takes bravery and courage to keep it.
How so?
Well, you're living through these fantasies.
Willing to
real.
go through that, yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. It's pretty bad
It's
sometimes.
like, I'm crashing in 2 weeks.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, read that one again.
I need flying to be 100% safe.
Okay. I need to stop flying in my thoughts to be 100% safe. That's the only place you crash.
Right. So I need to stop flying in my head
It's
to
like
be
you're
100%
the pilot
safe.
with all these strange planes. The only thing is you've never flown in one. You never will fly in one.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And if a plane, you were in a plane and ever did crash, wait for that one to crash. Rather than crashing all the planes in your head, just wait for the real thing. Enjoy your life. That's enough.
Yeah, I just felt it go away. It's like trying to figure out how to make it go away and then just feeling it go away are two different things. Trying to figure out how do I stop thinking about it and then
Well,
it
just
happens.
take care of the plane in your head.
But I think something just happened. Something just shifted or whatever. I mean, I feel that.
Well, it's absolute control. It's like, whoops, crashing me again. Whoop, there I go again, crashing me again. Oops. Wait, don't talk to me just for a moment, I'm crashing.
And I definitely tell people, don't answer the stewardess, so just tell her water because I'm busy definitely crashing the plane. I'm working hard to crash the plane that I'm in, so don't give me food or nutrients that I really need because I'm crashing.
Isn't it interesting, no matter how many times this plane crashes, the real one never does?
Yeah. And I get off the plane and it's like, whew, I just survived 1,000 plane crashes.
It's like, would you like a glass of water? No, I'm busy crashing.
Yeah, I really do feel great when I get off a plane, and it is because I just stress myself out so bad. I'm like,
Well, you know what it is now. It's not nerves and all of that. It's a movie you're watching, you're reacting to. It's just, it's an immature mind. It's believing it's a movie, experiencing it's movie. It's not the real thing, it's imagined. And just to watch it crash and watch it crash and watch it crash, and say, whoop, now I'm flying through the air. Whoop, there went my arm. There went my... Yeah, and then to look at the image, whoop, there went my arm. Just know, does that image even look like you? I mean, it's so distorted. You think, oh, and you believe it's you, and it's just like some stick man. I'm gonna crash.
I do better than a stick man. But it's pretty fuzzy still.
It is. You say, oh, that's me.
Yeah.
You like you're psychic. Oh, that's going to happen.
Every bump is that evidence,
Every bump is just support.
Yeah.
This support. There's nothing that's not. It's all support.
Okay.
In the plane, I fly a lot, and I have some pretty interesting trips, and I realize it frightens some people, but there's nothing more fun than don't know. when you're being bounced around and they say, fasten your seatbelts, we're going in all of this, and the plane drops. And I mean, don't know. None of my business. Is what it is until it's not.
Such a trust feels like falling back into such a, because there's so much control I'm trying to put on the situation. So.
Well, whether you trust it or not, it's going on. It's just waiting for you to wake up to it.
Mm-hmm.
And to experience, what's supporting you and what's not.
Okay.
So let's look at the next one.
I don't ever want to feel panicked the days and months before flying and while flying.
I'm willing to.
I'm willing to feel panicked the days and months before flying while flying.
I look forward to.
I look forward to feeling panicked the days and months before flying and while flying.
Yeah, so it gives you the opportunity to do the work and notice what's real and what's not. So you're on a plane and it hasn't taken off yet, but the engines are going and it's just starting to go down the runway. And the plane shouldn't crash. Is that true?
No?
Good. So turn it around. The plane shouldn't crash. Turned around.
The plane should crash?
Yes, if it does.
Right.
Yeah, it gives you this wonderful opportunity again. Peace is everything.
Mm-hmm.
So if the universe is friendly, why would the plane crash with you on it?
Because that's what is supposed to happen?
Well, if the universe is friendly,
why would the plane?
Why would that be? Why would it crash with you on it?
Because that's where I'm supposed to be at that time?
Yeah. It's very important that you die on time. It's like, how can you die on time if you don't crash?
Yeah, that's really heavy.
You'd never have to worry again. For days and months.
Yeah. So when I say it should or shouldn't, should is just should and shouldn't is such a weird thing to me. Is that it's more just saying, getting used to looking at it in a way of it's opposite of how you're doing it normally, correct?
Well, depending on the concept you're using, it's just should or shouldn't as you see it and understand it yourself. For me, what happens should happen, and I immediately see the goodness in it. And if it doesn't happen, it's because it shouldn't.
Right. Okay.
I love the shoulds and shouldn'ts. So, anything else on the paper that you'd like to go through?
No, I feel like we've covered pretty much, and I really do. I do look forward to. I think the hardest one was saying that I look forward to feeling panicked about this, but it is an opportunity. I really see that. I really do.
It is, just to get still and just in this moment, who would I be without my story?
Yeah.
And to notice, if it's in your home and you're going through it, or wherever you're staying, you just notice, I'm doing it again. I mean, it's so benign. Man flying through air. No parachute. Who would you be without your story?
Thank you.
Beautiful. You're so welcome.